All right, in this video, we're going to talk about how to solve quadratic equations with the zero product property. It will incorporate everything we've learned so far, and just like all math, it builds on itself. So the standard form for a quadratic equation, and notice the word equation. Equation means it has an equal sign, but the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. We have seen that before, but it equals 0. Okay, the equals 0 is the part that we haven't added yet, but that's what we're doing today. So write that down. Quadratic equations, this is important. Quadratic equations have two solutions. Well, most of them do anyway, the vast majority. Some are a double real solution, which we'll see in number 3, but we'll solve the following quadratic equations by setting each factor, and the factors are what are in parentheses here, equal to 0, and solving each like an equation. All right, so this is the use of the zero product property, what I'm about to do right here, and I'll show you how to use it. So the zero product property says that we can set both factors equal to 0. If this is all true, if you have something multiplied by something else and it equals 0, then either or of them can equal 0. Any of them can equal 0. So, well, actually, let me do this again. X minus 4 equals 0. That is true. And this is true. X plus 3 equals 0. All right, both of those are true. So what we're going to do is solve each of these like an equation. Really what we have is an equation right here. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. Remember, just like solving equations in the beginning of 2-year algebra AB. So x equals 4, and then over here, we subtract 3 out, subtract 3, and then x equals negative 3. So the two solutions for number 1 are 4 and negative 3. Two solutions, okay? All right, number 2. So what we want to do is set both of these equal to 0. X plus 1 is equal to 0. X minus 1 is equal to 0. We add 1, or excuse me, subtract 1 on both sides of the first one. X equals negative 1, or x equals 1. So positive or negative 1. And you can kind of see, like, whatever you have to add to this factor here to make the thing 0, that's what your solution is going to be. Same for here. So you can see we add negative 1 to this factor, and then it becomes 0. Positive 1 to this factor, and it becomes 0. All right, so our two answers, negative 1 and 1. All right, for this one, number 3, we have really just kind of one solution, but it's a double solution. And we'll talk about more later about why that is. But you can see that our solution is found by setting this equal to 0. You add 10. And then x equals 10. Number 4, we're going to set both of these equal to 0. And this might take a little bit more time, but 2x plus 3, set that equal to 0. 3x minus 1, set that equal to 0. And now really what we have are two-step equations. Remember, we have to add or subtract the constant first, then we multiply or divide the coefficient. All right, so 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2, x equals negative 3 halves. Or, we got to solve this one too. 3x equals 1. Keep that equal sign down there. And then divide both sides by 3. Multiply or divide the coefficient next. Or x equals 1/3. So here's the solution here. X equals 3 halves, or x equals 1/3 for number 4 there. All right, I'm going to switch colors. Number 5. Set each one of the factors equal to 0 and solve. 7x plus 2 equals 0. X plus 5 equals 0. All right, so subtract or add the constant. Do the opposite, what we see here. Then we multiply or divide the coefficient. In this case was 7. And then x equals negative 2/7. Or x equals negative 5. And it's good to either highlight or circle your answers. Okay, and I'm just going to leave number 6 for you to do in class. All right, so what we're going to do now is factor the quadratic expression like we've been doing, then use the zero product property to find both solutions to the equation. All right, so number 7, we have to first factor it. So looking at 24, two factors of 24 that sum to 11, and both of them will be negative. Okay, so two factors of 24 that sum to 11 I know are 8 and 3. And then 8 times 3 is 24. And then because 11 is negative, that means they're both negative. So this splits into those factors. And then x minus 8 times x minus 3 is your answer. Then we set the thing equal to 0. So this is actually how we solve quadratic equations, right? By factoring. That's why we were doing it this whole time, preparing you to solve quadratic equations, which have two solutions clearly, right? So we set each factor equal to 0. And then we solve like a simple linear equation on each one. And then x equals 8 or x equals 3. So 8 will work for this equation. If you plugged 8 in for x, 8 squared minus 11 times 8 plus 24, you'd get 0. If you plugged in 3, it would also work. 3 squared minus 11 times 3 plus 24 equals 0. Pretty interesting, but it is true. Okay, so you're probably wondering, maybe like, how could that be? But it is the case. So let's do number 8 in blue. We're going to factor number 8. So we're going to add that. Green. That middle term in there, and this is a little bit too thick for me. Plus 0x minus 49 equals 0. So we're going to factor. So what two factors of 49 have a difference of 0? Well, that's 7 and 7. X and x. Right? So one has to be negative, one's positive, right? Because we got 0 when we add them. So one has to cancel the other out. So x goes with positive 7. Then x goes with negative 7 equals 0. Okay? So yeah, we just factored that. Now, can you see what the answer is? X equals what? Just using the zero product property in your head, you can see it's negative 7 or positive 7. And one way to write that is plus or minus 7. That's your answer. That's what that symbol is, plus or minus. So you could plug in positive 7 here and it'll be 0, and negative 7 here and it'll be 0. Pretty nifty. All right, number 9. Try number 9 on your own. So this one, you have to use the star method. So I'm going to create my star. And then I'm going to put a times c on the top here. So that's 3 times -7, which is -21. And then my b goes down here, which is 20. And then a is 3, goes up top here and over here. So what two numbers that multiply to 21 have a difference of 20? Because it's negative. We're looking for a difference. So that would be obviously 1 and 21. And then you just figure out which one's positive or negative based upon this sign right here. So since this is positive, that means the bigger one is going to be positive. So it's going to be 21 and -1. 21 times -1 is -21. And then 21 minus 1 is 20. Now we have to reduce this one because it can be reduced. So that's going to be 1 over 7. And then our variable is x. We put x here and there. So we use this and this to write our factored answer. 3x minus 1. And then I should have put equals 0 here. That was a mistake. I forgot to write that. So could you please add that to the top there on the equation? So this equals 0. And then we're going to just figure this solution out by using the zero product property. Well, clearly one of the solutions is -7. Okay, because that will make that one 0. And then what will make this one 0? Well, we're going to have to solve this like a two-step equation maybe to find out. Okay, so we add 1 on both sides, add or subtract the constant, and then we multiply or divide the coefficient like that. And then we've got x equals 1/3. Okay, so our two solutions for this last one are -7 or 1/3.